Wednesday, 9 a.m. That can only mean one thing. And what is that, Sharon Boyd?
Podcast time! Tinpot 2!
We do really need a theme. I mean, I know we've got one for our listeners as well as our viewers. When the podcast starts, it goes into a little bit of a funky tune. But I'm wondering if we change that to open, a bit like a Chris Miles. I don't know if you remember Chris Miles when he was on Radio 1. He wouldn't play any music until I think it was gone like 8:30 or something like that. And then he would talk and then they'd do the jingle. I don't know. But yes, welcome everyone. Another episode of Here to Tinpot 2. This is episode 5. 5. That's cool. 5. This one we are talking all things skydive. But it's important to note that for those of you in the UK, and especially for those of you not in the UK and looking at the UK at the moment, we are currently shooting ourselves in the foot. We have a fuel crisis at the moment, and I think it's important to mention that just so we have it as a log of how insane it is. Given our episode previously on cars, regular viewers of this and listeners will know that Sharon has a very powerful M3, which will likely be doing 13 miles to the gallon, probably less than that considering how Sharon drives it. Have you had any trouble getting fuel, Sharon, for your car?
So far, I've been all right. But given it like whips through the whole of the tank in about an hour, if I'm not careful, I'm literally going, where can I walk to? Because I can't use my car at the moment.
And the problem we have is because we are such a dispersed team in the companies, we're in the north, we're in the south, and some of us are in the deep south. Not American term, but in terms of the UK. What's interesting is I think in America, if you're from the north, you're seen as sophisticated, and if you're from the south, it's a bit like, ooh, southerners. Whereas in the UK, it's the other way around. So if you're from the north, it's a bit like, ooh, northerners. They'll be coming down with no coats on, walking around in all sorts of weather. Whereas in the south, it's all very posh. That's where London is. But they are a little bit softer. I need to be careful, though, because I think most of our viewers are in the south of the UK. So welcome, everybody. As I said, Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Skydive time. 18th of September was the date for our listeners. And for Sharon, it was a 2.5-hour drive to get to Salisbury Plain, if I remember this correctly. For me, it was a 4-hour drive. Now, Sharon, do you want to tell our listeners why we had to travel? Or should I say I had to travel so far to do a skydive?
Yes, because there is some ridiculous rule, and I'm sure there's a good reason for it, insurance or safety, but there's only one place in the UK that will accept people that weigh over 15 stone. Now, 15 stone is not much, is it? Especially for a tall bloke or a tall woman. It's not. So when we started looking to see that we would do this, we were excited. I booked somewhere, and then I think you said to me, there's no weight restriction. I was like, I'll have a look. And then realised that 15 stone was the cut-off. So we ended up going to Salisbury, because that's the only place. But actually, they also specialise in first-time skydivers, which we were. And they do in-house training and things like that. So actually, customer experience-wise, because, let's bring that in, they pride themselves on giving excellent experience to first-time jumpers. So, yeah, threshold aside, it was worth going there, I think. Was it worth 4 hours?
Threshold aside. Well, you see, again, because we are over audio and visual, let me describe ourselves to the listeners. So I'm 6'2". I would say on a good day, I could probably just nip over 200 pounds. On a good day, I've been known to tip the scales at around 230 in my pie eating days. Now, I would never ask a lady her size or anything like that, but me stood at the side of Sharon is like Willy Wonka stood at the side of an Oompa Loompa. There is a big difference. And we will get into this because we do have videos of the skydive. And for those of you listening, we will describe in vivid detail what's going on. So if you can't see it, that's absolutely fine. I am going to give a little bit of a thing away here, because just to give you some idea of what I was charged on the scales, an FB size. That is Mark saying that bastard size, because they do a weigh-in when you get there, which I wasn't told when I arrived. Sharon Boyd putting me in it again. And they make you get on the scales. Sharon got on the scales. Absolutely fine. I mean, they did say you actually stood on the scales. So you do some comparison to how much Sharon weighs. I stood on the scales, and a very young, pretty girl from behind the counter looked up as to say, "That will be £20, please, Mark." Which my reply was, "Okay, what's that?" Because I was over the weight limit. Bearing in mind, this is a place that specialises in first-time jumpers and over 16 stone, yet they do charge you £20 for the joy of being over 16 stone. So that was a confidence boost that I needed at the start of that day. But one of the reasons why we wanted to do the skydive in the first place, obviously it was a fantastic experience, and as I said, we will get into that in more detail of what that was like. Very different experiences, I think I can be so bold as to say that, Sharon, between your jump and my jump. And again, for those watching, you will get to see the video. For those of you listening, I will describe in detail what is going on, and you will be pleasantly surprised at the difference. So when we arrive, we wanted to make sure that we had our t-shirts on, or should I say Sharon had her t-shirt on. I forgot to wear mine because of the panic of the day. So we were raising money for a charity called Mind, which in the UK, it's a very special charity. It does a lot for mental health. For those of you across the world that are listening to this, have a look at these guys. They do some great stuff on mental health. And as we know, over the pandemic, everybody suffered not just from COVID, but everything in between. So we wanted to raise some money for these guys, and you can also donate still. So when we upload this podcast on our more accessible video channels such as LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and things like that, we'll put the links in so you can find us, MKL Innovation or MKLCX, both on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you'll be able to donate in that way. So what I think we should do, Sharon, is I want firstly for you to describe to me within 30 seconds, because then we'll play the video, 30 seconds of your skydiving experience.
Oh, wow. 30 seconds well, I'd say it's incredibly memorable, exhilarating. I thought I would be absolutely terrified. I wasn't. Something that I think will stick with me always. Don't, like, listeners, Mark is making a silly face at me now like I'm being all smug. I wasn't being smug. I was expecting to be all panicky, but somehow it didn't. Mark is pretending that he was, but he was absolutely fine as well. So don't.
I have video evidence proving otherwise, so we'll get into that.
For those of you who are not doing it because they think they will be terrified, that's where I was too, and I wasn't. So don't let the fear stop you. Okay, what do you want me to describe? What do you want me to?
I think you've just done it there, to be honest with you, Sharon. You were scared. You weren't scared. You were fantastic experience. I think for those of you who have seen the Will Smith video, I think I sent that to you recently, Sharon. It's on YouTube. Just type in Will Smith skydiving. He does a tandem jump. Obviously, Will Smith, megastar. He's explaining, and he puts it in a very more articulate way than I ever could. But he explains that fear factor of in the plane, going up in the plane, and what does he say? God puts everything great beyond the line of fear. Something of that effect that he said, and I thought, what a very poignant and poetic way to put that, because once you're out the door, there's no going back. as they say. So without no, we chatted for about 10 minutes. I think we've salivated people's minds long enough. So viewers, what you'll be able to see is a black and white video. It does go color because what Skydive do is they give you a number of options, and there's three. So the first option is you jump with your instructor. None of it's filmed, no pictures taken. You just enjoy the experience. The second one is you jump and your instructor has a GoPro strapped to his wrist, but the GoPro is turned around facing you. And you get some very interesting up the nose, down the tonsils shots with that. And that's probably the version I would say most people will go with if they want to get it filmed or pictured. Or you can go full hog and have an actual cameraman jump with you. Now, for those of you who know Sharon, and for those of you who don't, you're going to learn something now. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we then select to go for the cameraman jumping with us and to go full hog and have that guy right in your face as you're in the plane, out the plane, on the floor? Bearing in mind how terrifying this is for people, but what it does give you is some absolutely amazing footage. And as I said, we will describe this. So on the screen now, I'm going to press play. What I will do, though, I think for the viewers and the listeners, is I'm going to skip over certain bits and get to the point of us being in the plane. So what you'll see now is there's an intro to the video of Sharon actually going out. Now, what Go Skydive do is they do little VTs. So they will talk to you about why you're doing this, what you're doing. I mean, for those of you listening, there's a guy talking to Sharon now. She's all harnessed up. All looking very sunshine yellow, trying to look as cool as a cucumber, pulling it off quite well. We'll see that when we go to my video in a little bit. And the reason why they do this is to settle your nerves, and also they walk you through the experience of why you're doing it, and then the plane pulls up. You all get on. For those of you watching this, you can see that we're getting on. I don't know what the aircraft is called, Sharon. I'm sure you probably do. If not, someone will comment on this later. And then you all pile onto the plane. But you all pile onto the plane in what I can only describe as little benches. Do you remember the benches that you used to have at PE? Do you remember those, Sharon? When you do exercise at a PE class and you'd all get those little school benches.
Little white knobs on them.
Well, that actually leads me to my next point, because you sit on that bench. You straddle that bench, and what happens is you are then pulled very close, very intimately into your instructor's groin, and I can only describe it as the closest I've ever been to a man with my clothes on in my life. He was. I mean, I could feel heat. There was a lot of heat going on in places. And I remember turning around at one point and saying to him, bloody hell, I'd pay the money just for this. Because I don't know if you experience this, Sharon, but every so often my instructor would just ratchet the harness just a little bit tighter, just a quarter of an inch every time. But every time he did it, I felt his groin digging right into my back. Did you have that?
Yes, and I was very aware that I had a bloke between my legs as well, because my cameraman was sat between my legs and I was sat in my instructor's legs. So I was literally in a bloke sandwich with a camera in my face. So,
I mean, that's probably an After Dark podcast or something like that. Viewers and listeners, please drop comments if anybody would like that to happen. Anyway, quickly moving on. So, on the video, what the cameraman does is he's got a number of GoPros on his body, hasn't he, Sharon? So he's got a GoPro on his helmet, and he's got a GoPro in his hand. And throughout various parts of the flight, which lasts 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I would say, and that's because we were told we were on the VIP aircraft. Because what altitude did we jump from, Sharon?
15,000 feet.
Yes. Now, again, Now, again, listeners and viewers, I was lulled into a false sense of security because when you get there, you sat in the area. It took 4 hours, by the way, for us to get there to the actual point of jumping out of an airplane. You get there and you see people coming down from their skydiving experience, and you have got some older gentlemen, I would say over 50, 60 at least, coming, and you're sat there thinking, if he can do it, I can do it. Other people that are maybe a bit more portly than you coming down and going, if he can do it, I can do it. However, there are 3 heights to jump from on a daily basis. Most people jump from 7 to 10,000. But for us, I think there was it 2 or 3 flights that day that was going from 15,000 feet, which apparently is the highest you can do in the UK from a tandem. So why wouldn't you do that on your first one? And I was told that as we were going to the flight. And what I did leave out, listeners and viewers, was as we were getting to our aircraft, my instructor said to me, "Oh, you're a big lad. We'll go out the door first because we will come down to the earth like a meteorite." And that is just what I wanted to hear getting on to the aircraft. And like the gobshite, sorry for swearing, but the gobshite that I am, I'm saying to the guys walking over to the aircraft, because I'm filling the air with words because of my nerves. "Oh yeah, when you jump out and you pull your chute, feel free to do some twists and turns and some loops and boops and all sorts of stuff." And he's going, "Right, awesome." Not many people say that on their first time. Again, I'm not listening to these warning signs here. I'm just I'm basically walking out on M1 and just hoping I just get across it. So I'm first. So I'll play the video again, and we'll continue to roll this. So viewers, you can obviously see the cabbage patch, the patchwork that is the beautiful British countryside, and an altimeter, I think it's called. Is that what that's called? That gives you the height in feet? Yes. So 2,000 feet, 2,500 feet is going up to now, showing on his wrist. And you will see, and Sharon, I want you to describe this. What sort of an atmosphere was it like on your side of the aircraft?
My side, we were talking about our passions. So we were talking about car racing, all sorts of fun stuff on my side, because I think they were making a real effort to make me feel relaxed. I felt quite buzzy and relaxed anyway, but they made a special effort. So you can see my side is all yay. Whereas when I looked across to the other side, there was not really any talking going on. You can see this is a good moment actually, because they're making out that my hands are shaking. So between the two of them, there's real kind of banter going on and fun. Whereas on your side, it was a bit different, wasn't it?
Yes. So again, listeners, what they're doing is they're holding Sharon's hand up. You know, when they go, "Are you nervous? Hold your hand up and let's see if it's wobbling." And they're making it wobble. So they're all like, "Let's all have fun and let's have a little laugh with Sharon." Whereas I've got ex-SAS man behind me thinking it's 0 dark 30 and we're jumping out over the middle of Iraq to take on Saddam Hussein. And he's saying to me as we're flying up, "Right, Mark, we're at 2,000 feet now. Yeah? Okay. Right, we're at 4,000. Right. 6, 8, 10. Another 5 to go. Why don't you look out and look at that view, Mark?" And viewers, you can see as I look out of that aircraft, we are basically cruising to Greece here. That's what it felt like to me. It looked like we're on a commercial flight going on holiday. And listeners, all I can describe is, you know, when you take off and you go on your holidays or business trip, whatever that might be, when you are on an actual normal aeroplane and you sat in, strapped, maybe a pina colada in your hand. Who knows? Who knows who you're flying with? Maybe you're doing first. Maybe you're doing economy. Who cares? Doesn't matter. When you look out of the window, when you're above the clouds, there's that beautiful, deep, dark blue as it disappears into space. And just underneath that, you've got those lovely, lovely white pillows that are the clouds. And that is the shot that we are looking at right now. And we are still climbing. So we get to this point, 10,000 feet. Mark, we've got another 5,000 to go. There's a shot there, perfect shot, which actually matches up what I've just said. So, listeners, there's a chap holding his altimeter on his wrist showing it 9,700 feet. And outside is that beautiful dark blue of space and fluffy clouds. Now, what's happening is Sharon's getting jacked here. So oh, hang on, we're going out the door there. I mean, I've just paused at an absolutely perfect moment for Sharon. So what they do is, viewers and listeners, is before you go onto the flight, they do training with us, don't they? And they get you all harnessed up. They then go and put you on some weird bondage clips, which was very interesting. And then they get you to do 3 poses. One of them is you have to let your legs dangle. Viewers, you'll be able to see the pose that Sharon is perfectly mimicking there. I mean, she looks like she's a little bit, I will let the viewer's imagination go on that one. What you have to do is you have to sit in between your instructor's legs. Once your legs are out of the door, you then have to push your legs right back, but put your your head on his right shoulder and look to the left. So please, listeners and viewers, if you're doing that right now, just put your head back as far as you can to the right and then look as far as you can to the left. And you tell me, Sharon, can you just mimic that for me, please? Let's just have a look and see what this looks like, viewers. No, you're doing that.
It's a fantastic up the nostril shot.
Listeners, Sharon's doing that all wrong. Let me demonstrate for our viewers. That's what it's like. You look like you've got challenges. And then the reason why they do that is because on the side of the door of the aircraft, the cameraman jumps out like he's Spider-Man and starts filming. So, Sharon, I'm going to roll this video. Listeners, Sharon is literally sat on the edge of an aircraft. Her legs are out the door. Her hair's all over the shop. There's a very handsome man sat behind her. And they are just about to jump from 15,000 feet. So, Sharon, if I press play, can you describe to people not only what's going on, but what was going through your head at that point?
What was going through my head? I'm not sure a huge amount, actually. I think I was just taking lots of deep breaths. And then you can see that those of you who are viewing, you can see that I've now jumped. And it never occurred to me before, but I completely understand why the term is skydive, because you literally dive head first into the oblivion. And there's a it feels like a moment, obviously it's not, it's seconds, where you are face down, strapped to this person, zero control. I have to say, I screamed my head off, pure scream of terror for a couple of seconds. Poor bloke behind me, he's obviously a saint. But there was no control over that, pure screams. And then it is just trying to catch your breath and acclimatise to the fact that you are strapped face down, looking at the earth with the wind in your face, coming at you at 120 miles per hour, rushing up your nostrils, filling your mouth, with a cameraman right in your face. And I think there was moments, what was I thinking? Oh, well, I haven't died. Okay, this is okay. Or is it okay? I don't know. Is it okay? Yes, I'm okay. Whoa, this is weird. This is weird. This is weird. It was mainly what was going through my head. I was looking down, going, okay, I can see other people a bit further down. The cameraman, I'm not sure I was really thinking anything other than that at the time. And then he paused the shoot. And I think mine was, we'll get into yours, but I think mine was not quite as horrendous as yours. But I remember when he pulled the chute, the way he did it, or I'd obviously forgotten that he needed to pull the chute. Crucial part of the journey, obviously, he needs to pull that chute. But I thought, because it dropped me down, that my harness had come off. So I had a moment of terror going, and then I realised, okay, the canopy. So it was okay, right? And not a second, but probably a minute later, he said to me, right, stand on my feet, which I did. Which is weird, and just hold your arms out like this, because I'm just going to detach you. Now I'm sure you heard this, listeners, when you are I don't know how, at least 10,000 feet at that point above the ground, and you hear, I'm just going to detach you from me, and he's got the canopy on you, you're going to freak out a little bit. I went like that, and then he did his thing, and he said, "Don't worry, it's just so that when we land, you're more comfortable." And I thought, I'm not worried about landing yet. I just get me there. So I had a slight moment of panic at that point, but the rest of it, then after that, it was quite chilled for me. Now, we had full-on conversation. We were talking about flying. He was saying to me, because we're quite light as a couple, we can glide, we can float, and we were just chilled. He let me move the canopy left and right so we could steer. We were spinning. We were having a lovely time. We were going, there's the cathedral. I'm talking about Cranfield and flying. And we went very, very slowly. And then before I knew it, we were going, oh, look, where shall I land? There we go. And then coming into land and made a very graceful landing, as I'm sure you can imagine. Except it wasn't very graceful when I actually landed. Because I had a massive wardrobe malfunction, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, I saved your dignity there. That's why I stopped the video at a certain point. But just to give that some more meat. So I was the first out of the plane. Sharon was the second, but I think you were the last to land, or one of the last to land.
The fifth one to land.
So how does that work? I mean, obviously physics tells us that you fell to earth like a feather, whereas I came down like a meteorite. I mean, if there may as well have been some T-Rexes and Stegosauruses bombing about, because I was going to wipe them out. That's how fast I was coming. I mean, God knows how much the combined weight of myself and Craig, my lovely instructor, was. 400 pounds. I don't know. Felt like a ton at least. But you can listen to this, viewers, or listen to this, and also watch this. And as you can imagine, there's two very different experiences here. So let's just 10-second wrap up. Sharon's there. Party. It's great. We're all vibing. It's Club Tropicana here in this aircraft. Everybody's high-fiving. Everybody's a bit gnarly. Everybody's whooping and hollering. Everybody's like, whoa, yeah, party, dude. Out the plane. It's all nice. Falling to earth. Yeah, 60-second free fall. Terrifying for everyone. Canopy opens. Oh, do you want to have a little steer? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, look at us being a couple. Look at us being so light and just enjoying it with us hollow bones. We'll just float to earth. Oh, well done, Sharon. You've done an amazing thing there. Congratulations. Me, on the other hand, very different. So, again, I'm going to... Viewers, you will see myself expertly demonstrating the difficulties in life that I look like I'm having with this pose at the moment. This is the pose you have to do when you're out of the aircraft. And again, my instructor, Craig, telling me my cameraman was an absolute nutcase. So he's telling me as we're just about to jump, that is a nutter. And he was, because he clung onto the side of that plane when those doors opened, like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I thought this guy's like a cross between SAS, SBS, Delta Force, Zero Dark 30, every sort of action hero you've ever heard, Rocky, Dutch from Predator, all rolled into one. He was literally there. I mean, God knows the size of his... Anyway, so I'm going to fast forward mine, viewers, to the point of jumping out, because you don't need to see the aircraft bit, because... it's just basically the same as Sharon's. Although, as you can see here, viewers, listeners, I've just paused the video on a very interesting still. So I've got my face mask on. I'm very much clinging onto my harness, like it's my baby, like it's my lifeline, like it's attached to me, like it belongs to me, like it's going to save my life. Sharon, on the other hand, look at this. Oh, let's all chat and be nice and vibing, and it's all great, and we're just having a good look. And I am terrified here. So all that was going through my head at this point was, don't bottle it, don't bottle it, don't bottle it. I mean, look at it again, listeners and viewers. My cameraman's more interested in Sharon than he is in me. She's constantly getting the camera smashed into her face, and she's having a great time. Whereas I'm like, look at my stupid face. I'm like a third wheel to this day here. Oh, all gnarly and all that lot. Anyway, right. Oh God. So I've paused this at an exact perfect moment for myself. just about to jump out of the aircraft. The poor guy, Craig, behind me, it must have been like hoofing a fridge across a kitchen floor trying to get me out of the aircraft. Poor guy. I mean, his core strength must be absolutely unbelievable. I mean, look at the whites of his eyes, viewers, listeners. This guy is like a dog when they're having a poo and they catch your eye and they're staring intently at you as they're very much tense. This is what Craig is doing at the moment. So I'll describe what's happening. There you go. Look at that. I'm out the door. I'm out the door now, viewers, and all I can describe at this point was my nostrils being on fire. My guy had to tap me twice on the shoulder to put my arms out because I didn't know what was going on. It was a massive attack of the senses. My face looks like a semi-deflated water balloon because the chubbiness of my face is whapping in the wind at 120 miles an hour. And my guy's fist bumping me. So he's fist bumping me. He's having a great time. I'm going to pause it at this certain point here. Now, oh dear. Listeners, my listeners, I've paused this video where I look like a really, really naff sphinx in Egyptian times. So the reason why I've got my hands cupped. So my hands, Sharon had her hands open, fingers spread.
Super Jesus.
Got my hand. Yes, Super Jesus. I've got my hands cupped like I am a naff cat about to pounce. And the only reason why I did that and what was going through my head is, if you were when you were a kid, you'd put your hand out of your dad's car window. Me and my brother at the time would go, "Oh, if you put your hand like you're cupping something, it feels like you're feeling things." So we do that, and that's all that was going through my head at that point. So I'm putting my hands like that because I want to feel the pressure of the air. What I didn't realize is how that would translate in video format. And my guy behind me, he's giving it all thumbs up and waving his hands, and he's having a great time. What I did really enjoy about this point, and I'm sure you were the same, Sharon, was that moment of falling through the clouds. I cannot describe that feeling of just brilliant white all around us and mist on my face.
So exhilarating.
It was such a surreal experience, but my ride didn't stop there. So again, viewers, if you're watching this, my guy has put his thumbs up, so he's just about to pull his canopy, meaning the cameraman to go away so he doesn't get caught up. Listeners, is a shot of me in the clouds, again looking like the naffest superhero ever is coming to ruin your day. So my canopy's pulled, and off I've shot at 100 miles an hour. Felt like a car had hit the back of me at 30 miles per hour. And I'm on the deck and everything's all fine and I'm all jacked. What my guy did say to me afterwards was he thanked me for allowing him to do what he did. So if you remember, viewers, that at the point of walking over to the plane, I said to him, because I wanted to fill the air with noise, you know, you feel free to go as gnarly as you want when you pull the canopy. And my God, did he. He was doing 360s, spinning it around. My harness was so tight on my legs, I had to tell him to stop because it felt like my right leg was going to get chopped off. We came down to earth so fast that I had to, I think I was down there at least 5 minutes before you got there, Sharon.
Yeah, and I mean, it must have been probably 30 seconds later from the second you were out the door, I was ready and out, ready to go. So probably about 30 seconds to a minute later that I would have jumped. So there was a real difference. You had time to do a whole interview before I was anywhere near landing.
Exactly. And doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? Is that if you're listening to this and let's say you're my size, so 6'2", 200 pound on a good day, maybe a little bit more, you're going to come down like an asteroid. You're going to come down fast. And that's just physics. There's nothing you can do about that. I mean, I guess you'd probably come down slow if you did a single jump, but tandem, two blokes, fully grown blokes, jumping out of an aircraft with very little oxygen up there, atmosphere, and bombing to Earth. Would you do it again?
Oh, in a heartbeat, but I'd wear different trousers.
Do you want to tell the viewers and listeners what happened?
Yes. So you pay all this money to get a cameraman to record every second. And as you can see there at the end, when Mark landed, the cameraman runs up to you and goes, welcome back to Earth. Fantastic. They're right in your face. They do high fives or whatever. My one runs up to me and my trousers, jeans, which have just got a zip, quite a long zip, just decided to undo all the way. Thankfully, there wasn't quite as much on show as there could have been, considering I dropped from that height. But when we watched it back, I was actually sitting in the aircraft with my jeans undone as well, and I didn't know. But yeah, so the cameraman comes running up to me. I'm all like, I survived! And then he very quickly shoots the camera at the sky to probably protect his eyes and my modesty. So I would definitely wear different trousers.
That just goes to show, doesn't it, why all that attention was happening at the start. If things were on display on the way up, they probably thought, oh dear. I mean, they clearly didn't notice it because they were all very nicely and gentlemen, so they would have said something at the time. But you're your own worst critic, aren't you? I mean, when you do these things and it's filmed, I mean, if you've ever done anything that's extreme and it's filmed, you're going to watch every single inch of yourself because you just want to see what you're like. It's just the way we are as human beings. You watch your friends and everyone's, and if something's happened to them, you say, "Oh, it's not bad, it's all right." But if it's you, then you pull it apart completely and you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's a memory that I've got forever now of my kegs being down." But it's a funny memory, isn't it?
It is, and it could have been a million times worse. So if that's all that happened, I mean, we had an amazing time. We raised a lot of money and hopefully still more to raise from viewers and listeners today. But I would definitely recommend it to anybody watching and listening. The other thing I'd say is, for me, there's been a few unexpected kind of, not side effects, but things where I've gone, well, if I can do a skydive and I can jump out of a plane, what else can I do? Where's my limit? So confidence-wise and goal-wise, it's made me push harder. I guess it's made me, sometimes you find yourself focusing on the little silly things. I think there's a little bit less of that as well now, which is good. So, yeah, I'd definitely do it again. I think it was one of the best things I've ever done. What about you?
Yes, I would do it again because I think now I'm fully prepared for what's going to happen. There's a couple of side effects for me. I mean, I get the mental side. It's hurtling to 15,000 feet at 120 miles an hour. Free fall was it'll give you some perspective. It'll give you some clarity on things. It just will. You're not a human being if you don't have a very deep thought around your own mortality at that stage when you're up and you can see the curvature of the earth and then you throw yourself out of a perfectly good aeroplane. For me, though, some of the side effects were the physical ones. So the next day I woke up and felt like I'd been in a fight. So my ribs were hurting, my back was hurting, nothing too bad, but you forget this is an extreme sport and it's called an extreme sport for a reason. It's very violent when a canopy opens to slow you down so quickly from 120 miles an hour to a gentle float. It's a violent experience, but that's one of the reasons why you do it, to feel that kick. And that's why they ask you if you're doing it if you've got dislocated shoulders or back problems. What I did read, though, afterwards, and I did enjoy, because it's one of life's natural pleasures, was the amount... No. Yes. Is the amount of pooping I did 2 days after. I mean, I'm normally, listeners and viewers, a one a day, if that sort of guy. But after that skydive, I think I was averaging 4 to 5 a day. I thought I had irritable bowel syndrome at one point. It was getting so bad. I was contemplating calling the doctor, but then I found a very detailed scientific article explaining that when you fall that fast and stop that quick, it can have very interesting effects on your body and your bowels. So never mind paying a load of money for a colonic or anything like that. Just go skydiving, and then you'll not only clear your mind of any crap, you'll also clear your body as well. So I think on that note, we should end it there, Sharon. As I said before, we got into the detail. Please, if you can ever so kindly dig deep. No amount is too small, no amount is too big. Please donate to this great cause. All the money goes to Mind. We're all struggling in some ways, and it's important to do this. So we did this for a number of reasons. One, we wanted to challenge ourselves, but also clear our mind of some of the crap over COVID as well. And more importantly, we wanted to raise a ton of cash for a great cause. So all the links will be available on this podcast in the various channels that we upload this on as well. Let me thank everyone for listening. We are growing. We started off small. We're shooting for the stars with Here to Tinpot 2. So these podcasts will evolve. They will get better. The content will become more interesting, I would imagine, as people interact with us. As we've always said, no topic is too small and no topic is too big. We're happy to talk about anything. The podcast that was John just before this, we were reviewing the powerful book Ordinary Men, so go have a look at that. We're on various channels as well, all the usual ones you would expect. So YouTube, Twitter as well, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Is there any others there, Sharon, that I'm missing?
Those are the main ones, yeah.
Yeah. So, and what will people need to search to find us?
If you put in Here to Tinpot 2, you'll be able to find our channels.
Excellent. And as always, if you want to be a guest, if you have something interesting you want to talk about, we love to be educated. So we don't portray ourselves as experts in everything. We like to explore everything. So if you want to come on and talk about a very interesting subject and use us as novices as sounding boards where we can ask questions, then please feel free to reach out to myself and Sharon, and we would be happy to get you on. It's now coming up to 10 o'clock. No doubt it's looking at a coffee break time. So everybody enjoy this. If you're listening live, please comment. If you're watching this back, I hope you're well wherever you are. Thank you very much.